Hey everyone, today we're taking a look into the future, specifically to 2026 to map out what it takes to get found online. And look, if your whole idea of SEO is still built around just keywords and backlinks, you've got to get ready for a huge change. The entire rulebook for digital visibility is being rewritten by AI, and this right here, this is your new guide to the game.
You know, for the longest time, SEO was a pretty straightforward game. But that road, well, it's completely cracking apart. With the rise of AI and generative search, that old simple path from just picking a keyword to getting a ranking is gone. The strategies that worked yesterday are literally becoming obsolete as we speak. This isn't just some little update, it's a revolution, and you've got to understand this shift to survive.
Okay, so this slide really breaks it down perfectly. On the left, that's the old model. A simple, straight line. You find a keyword, you build a page, you get some backlinks. Easy. But now, look at the right. It's not a line anymore, is it? It's this complex, tangled web. Now we have to deal with large language models, LLMs, voice models, and AI that just generates the answer right there on the page. It's not a simple process anymore. It's a dynamic, living ecosystem.
All right, so if that old playbook is basically useless now, what's the new one? What do we do? Well, the answer is a new, future-proof framework that's built on 4 different but totally connected layers. This isn't about little tricks and tactics anymore. It's about building a complete strategy that works for both real human users and the AI systems that are serving them. So over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through each and every one of these 4 essential layers.
So let's get into layer 1. And it all starts exactly where it should, with the actual person on the other side of the screen. We need a new way to think about this, and yep, a new acronym to go with it, SXO, which stands for Search Experience Optimization. This is the absolute foundation that everything else gets built on.
So SXO, it's not just about giving people the right information. It's about how they feel when they're on your site. Is it easy to get around? Does it load in a split second? Is their journey from the question in their head to the answer on your page completely smooth and frictionless? See, search engines are now tracking what they call successful sessions. Did the user find what they were looking for, or did they get frustrated and immediately hit that back button? A great experience isn't a nice-to-have anymore. It's a direct signal for ranking.
And the practical steps here are pretty clear. Your main goal? Just make things less frustrating for people. Take a hard look at your pages. Do they actually deliver what the user intended to find? Someone searching for a how-to guide should not be landing on a sales page. Get rid of all those annoying pop-ups that get in the way. And make sure your site is just easy to navigate. Because if a real person can't figure out how to get from point A to point B, you can bet a search crawler can't either.
Okay, so once you've nailed that user experience, that's your foundation. Now we got to move up to the next layers, which are all about the AI itself. We have to start optimizing for these new gatekeepers of information. And that brings us to 2 brand new concepts, AEO, which is AI orchestration, and GEO, Generative Engine Optimization.
All right, first up is AEO. The best way to think about this is it's the internal plumbing and wiring inside your website's walls, but it's designed specifically for an AI audience. Your whole goal here is to make it incredibly simple for a large language model to crawl your site, to understand how all your different pieces of content relate to each other, and to see the logical flow of it all. This is all about smart internal linking and making sure your site's data is structured for machine to read.
And then you've got GEO, which is kind of the flip side of that coin. So if AEO is your internal plumbing, GEO is all about your reputation out on the street. It's about becoming a primary source for the AI. When a generative search gives you an answer and it lists its sources? Well, the goal of GEO is to be that source. And that means you have to create content that is so trustworthy, so authoritative, that the AI models have no other choice but to point back to you.
So let's just break that down real quick. AEO is all internal, right? It's about getting your own house in order so the AI can navigate it easily. GEO, that's all external. It's about building up your street cred, your reputation in the neighborhood, so the AI sees you as an authority. AEO is about things like your internal linking, while GEO focuses on things like backlinks and building up your EEAT. That's your experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
And that brings us to the final layer, the top of the pyramid, really. This is where it all comes together. We're talking about AEO, Answer Engine Optimization.
And listen, this is a huge mental shift. The goal isn't to be number 1 on a list of 10 blue links anymore. No way. The goal is to be the answer. We're talking about position 0. It's that single definitive answer that a voice assistant reads back to you. It's that perfect little summary an AI chat gives you. You're optimizing your content to be that final, helpful answer.
So what are the tactics here? Well, they're super direct. You've got to start structuring your content like a conversation. Go in and rewrite your subheadings as the actual questions your users are typing into Google. Then, right after the question, give a super clear, concise answer in about 40 to 50 words before you go into all the details. This makes it so easy for an engine to just grab that snippet. And of course, technical things like FAQ schema and building out Q&A hubs on your site are also absolutely crucial. Okay, so we've got our 4 layers: SXO, AIO, GIO, and AEO. That's the what. But now, what about the how? How do you actually implement all this stuff? Let's walk through a simple 3-phase roadmap to put all of this into practice.
This whole roadmap is about actually doing the work. So phase 1 is your foundation. You're going to learn the theory, you're going to audit sites that already exist, and just get the lay of the land. Then, phase 2, you start getting your hands dirty. This is where you practice on a test project, setting aside time for core tasks like on-page optimization. And finally, phase 3, you're in the big leagues. You take everything you've learned and apply it to a real-world project, maybe for a local nonprofit, where you have to get actual, measurable results.
Okay, as we get ready to wrap this up, I want to boil everything we've talked about down to one single core idea. If you walk away with just one thing from this explainer, please let it be this.
This is it. This is the whole game right here. For what, 20 years? We've called them search engines, tools that give us a list of links to search through. Well, that era is ending. They're becoming answer engines, designed to understand the real meaning of a question and give back one definitive, helpful answer. Your entire strategy, from your user experience to your content, has to be built around this new reality.
So I'll leave you with this one question, and you really need to ask yourself this as you move forward. Are you still building your content for a list of keywords, or are you building it to provide the single best answer? Because the future belongs to the answerers. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.